Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the CampaignHer Podcast. I am your host, and the 2 meters wide thermal exhaust pipe that is your only hope to destroy the Death Star, Ally Pippin. A few housekeeping items before we get right to it. First of all, thank you for your amazing positive words about the first few episodes of this podcast. I got a lot of texts and emails and comments and Instagram DMs from people who listened, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has been something that I've worked on for a really long time, and your kind words mean the most to me, the absolute most. The people who followed me on Instagram, who purchased stickers, I love you. I promise to make you all proud, or at least mutually embarrassed for me. You know, one of those. You guys, I need to get something. I need to get something off my chest. Something that has been just plaguing my relationship with my husband for some time. And that has been my obsessive, obscure love, borderline asshole obsession with Star Wars. I don't think it's any secret that Justin and I are pretty big nerds. We love pop culture. It saturates our home, something I'm sure a therapist will speak to my children about at one point or another in their lives. But Star Wars is like a special love. It's like a deep love, because Justin and I have very different, very intense feelings about the Star Wars franchise. Justin is like a canon queen, okay? Like, he has a vision for what Star Wars should be and is frequently disappointed by it. I, on the other hand, found Rise of Skywalker to be the feel-good hit of the decade, just behind like Mamma Mia 2, Here We Go Again. So what this means is that I often like to flaunt my very different opinions from him by using my creative talents to rub his stupid Star Wars beliefs back in his face. And all this started when I got my Silhouette machine. For those of you that are unfamiliar, it's like a Cricut machine, but it's more expensive. It cuts vinyl, it cuts paper. I use it for stickers, now available on Etsy. Shameless plug. And Justin said, when I first got it set up, hey, babe, you should make some like motivational quote for our mirror, this mirror that we have that hangs on the back of the door of our bedroom. And what do? I make an intricate cutout of the Anakin Skywalker quote that's like, I hate sand. It's coarse and rough. What else did I do? Well, drunk with power and probably alcohol and even more out of control than before, I made Justin a sticker for the back of his car that has the Mandaddylorian and the child, aka Baby Yoda. The caption underneath it says Mandaddylorian, which I was very proud of, which brings me all back around full circle to today, a very, very important day in our relationship and lives and marriage. Today, Justin got his vasectomy, snipped and clipped, all juice, no seeds. And to celebrate the occasion, not only did I lay out a variety of nuts for him to enjoy, and I took a rubber glove and I filled it full of frozen blueberries so that, something could always be holding his junk even while he's resting. I made him a card with a stormtrooper on it that says, shoot all you want, you'll never hit the target. And I just want to know if there are any professionals out there that can explain to me why I'm like this. Also, Lucasfilm, I'd love to collaborate on a line of vasectomy cards for the Star Wars penis user or owner. Okay. In all seriousness, let's talk about and hats off to and salute this man and the sacrifice he made for our family. Hats off to him for getting his beans snipped and clipped. I'm so glad it only took 3 years and me having a stress-induced 12 weeks late period for him to do it. So proud. Today's episode is a little bit of a deep one, but I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm talking pretty intensely about mine and Justin, my husband's, marriage. And then he and I are going to sit down. We're going to chit-chat about all the things we hate about each other. So get a drink, snuggle up with your honey, merge safely into the adjacent lane, and don't forget your blinker. Whatever you're doing, let's get started. We'll get started right after this. When I got this idea for this podcast, the first thing I had to accept was that I had zero idea what I was doing. And I wanted nothing more than to have someone just take this stuff that I'm thinking right out of my head and put it in your ears for you to listen to. And that's why I am so happy the Google Fairies led me to Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it is really the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. 1, it's free. Number 2, it's free. Number 3, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. I have it on my iPad. Anchor then will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many, many more. And you get to make money from your podcast with absolutely no minimum listenership. It's really everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So, hey, if you're like me, you're ready to get into this sweet pod game, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Today, I'm going to talk about a subject I am definitely an expert on, marriage. I've always promised myself with all things Campaign Her, I would be completely and totally honest and open, the human equivalent of the 100 emoji, okay? So I'm prepared to admit that the next 15 or so minutes is not going to be an Instagram wife's declaration of love for marriage and the Institute of Marriage, or even a celebration of the man who is my husband. I love my husband, and our marriage is one of the things I'm proudest of in my life, but it has not been easy. And at times, it's been very, very, very hard. So in the spirit of keeping it 100 today, I want to talk about one of the hardest lessons I have learned during my marriage, and especially like difficult time in our marriage. Like I definitely learned this lesson then, but before I spill the tea, let's start way, way, way back in the beginning. So I met Justin while working at the Disney College Program. And if you're not from Central Florida and not familiar with what the Disney College Program is, basically college students are paid minimum wage to come down and live at Disney and work front lines at the park for a semester. They have some like educational opportunities. It's great internship credit. For me, I took it because I didn't know what to do with my life, and it seemed like a great escape to go play at Disney for 6 months. And when I was on my college program, I was parade audience control and park greeter at Magic Kingdom. So I was the one that was in this like yucky, ugly yellow mustard shirt with these pants that went all the way up to my titties, ringing people in through the turnstiles. For PAC, we had to get yelled at all day and keep people within tape lines and, creating one-way streets and all kinds of fun stuff. And I actually met Justin on, I shouldn't say Matt, we weren't introduced on this day, but the first time I saw Justin was on my very first day of audience control training. And I had this instant feeling upon laying my eyes on him that I would marry him. So I just want you to close your eyes, not if you're driving, close your third eye, and imagine. Okay, so we're in this giant room that is just filled with basically like bleacher seating, and it's where all of the audience control cast members hang out before a parade, before fireworks, to understand where our positions would be during the show. So I walk in, and all the way across the room, like complete catty corner from me, there's Justin. He has on the PAC costume, which is blue pants, a blue vest with gold buttons, and a red bow tie. And he's got a long sleeve white button-up shirt underneath his vest that he's rolled up to his elbows. His hair is one of those like Freddie Prinze Jr. styles, where like the front bits are pushed up like the tail of a duck. Okay. And he had one leg up on the bleachers that occupied this break room. His arms like kind of like crossed, like he's flexing, his elbow like resting on his knee. And there are girls around him. And he's just like got that look. I couldn't tell you what they were talking about, but he's got that look where he knows that they are hanging on his every word. Like he knows he's like hot shit. And I thought immediately, what a tool. And then what could only be described as like the ticker tape at the bottom of like CNN that like tells you your stocks, that just scrolled underneath the frame in my mind's eye that said, I'm going to marry that asshole. Just like that. It was the kind of internal like monologue moment that made me shake my head like a freaking Etch-a-Sketch to delete it, but it was absolutely right. And the early days of our relationship were very like fast and loose, like the fucking Wild West, okay? And he and I, I was just out of college. We were like fucking like rabbits. We were out drinking every night. And every date night, or on my every date night, my very first date night, he took me out for hot dogs. Not a euphemism, like literal hot dogs, actual wieners, real life phallic goods I ate 3 of on the first date and burped onion burps for the remainder of the day. When we walked into that restaurant, the first people we saw were his uncle and his cousin, who just happened to be there. And Justin very politely introduced me, and one of them said, "Hey, Justin, you've got some mail at the house. You should probably just come by afterwards and pick it up." Which, of course, I allowed him to do because I'm like a cool girl that people date, right? Mind you, at this time, this was our like first official date. Like at this point, all we had done was physical stuff. But 4 hours later, I was still at his family's house being introduced to his cousin Ashley over Skype as his new girlfriend. Remember, again, this was our first date. Like literally just hookup buddies leading up to this moment. I don't know this man's middle name, but I knew what his penis looked like. And I was sitting here having lasagna with his aunts and uncles. And I should mention now that my last boyfriend, who I dated right before I started dating Justin, had cheated on me while I was living in Florida. So I was like not fucking around while I was fucking around. I got in the car like 8 hours after the date started and I said, "Don't you do that to another girl ever again." And, he still didn't even have the mail that he needed when we got in the car. So Justin had to like step his pussy up to get this pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like from that point on, if he was late to pick me up for a date, I told him, don't bother. If he didn't call me when he was supposed to, I made sure he knew I wasn't going to waste my time. When he upset me, I was able to get over it quickly because we had this big looming deadline over our relationship. The end of my college program meant I was going to be returning home to Indiana to finish school. Our dates at that moment, I realized how I knew our relationship was changing was our dates started getting less and less physical and more intimate. And at one point, and I'm a very big believer in signs. I remember laying on his bed, and I'm being very generous there. We shared a twin air mattress when I slept at his place. A twin air mattress. Boys are so fucking gross, man. How do you live? Who raised you? Anyway, I was laying on his bed, and through the open window of his Florida apartment, like wafting in on a breeze, came the song Life in Technicolor by Coldplay, which I had secretly always said to myself was the only song I would ever walk down the aisle to. So here I am in bed with this guy that I'm starting to like catch feelings for, and Life in Technicolor, the only song that I ever wanted to hear at my wedding, like waves through, like pretty big moment. And I also noticed that, he was always working to make things up to me. And like by the time of end of my time in Florida, I had fallen completely in love with him after just 2 months together. And the more I tried to resist his charm and his stupid haircut and his tapped out t-shirts, like the more we came together. The rest of our relationship from that point up to now looked something like this. Long distance relationship for about 2 months. Justin moved in with me in Indiana and promptly knocked me up. We were engaged a year after we started dating. We got engaged on Main Street in front of the castle. Married one day after our oldest daughter's first birthday at the Disney Wedding Pavilion. We had our second child. We bought our house. We bought a dog. We gained mutual weight and credit card debt. And in a blink of an eye, we've been together now 9 years, married for 7, with an 8-year-old and soon to be 5-year-old. But it was about 2 years ago into this relationship that I noticed that things started to change again. When we first got together, and we were in love and very early in our relationship, Justin, in my mind, was absolutely perfect. His little quirks were charming and cute. His little, the pain points in our relationships I saw as something that we could fix, that I could fix, on my own or fix with him. And, but the longer that we had been together, the more those quirks lost their charm. What quirks am I talking about? Well, here we go. For starters, the man to this day is still incapable of picking up his socks and leaves them everywhere. So imagine like digging for the remote in the couch and pulling out a stinky black sock. Okay. Imagine noticing the dog is like eating something opening up its mouth and pulling out a stinky black sock. Like, disgusting. Okay. Number 2, he refuses to wash a dish without letting it soak in the sink for at least 48 hours. Like, I'm not cooking that many cheese-based casseroles. There's no need. His ability to be easily distracted meant that I have now developed the superhuman ability to recognize the exact moment that he stops listening to me during a conversation, something that we have thought about so many times that we have a code word for it. So now anytime he tells me anything that I already told him, I say wedge salad, which we stole from a Modern Family episode where the husband, Phil, knows his wife is mad at him. So he like retraces his steps to find out why, apologizes to his wife, only to enrage her again when he tries something, a wedge salad, a friend suggested that she'd been suggesting for years. Beyond the quirks, like I also noticed that mine and Justin's roles in our marriage changed. You know, when we first got together, we were both dirt poor, working minimum wage to share, you know, an 8-count nugget meal from Chick-fil-A for dinner. Okay. When we lived in Indiana and I was finishing school and working and raising a newborn, Justin was our primary provider. He was working overtime. He was working holidays to make ends meet. When we moved back to Florida, our roles had switched. I was now the career woman. We were both working, but after Parker was born, my youngest was born, eventually Justin quit his job so that we could help subsidize daycare costs for the kids. And I would come home from like a really long day working in a corporate environment to dirty kids and a messy house and just fly off the handle that my husband, quote unquote, wasn't doing anything all day to help me. I would just sit on the couch, exhausted, and the first thing he would ask would be, "What are you thinking for dinner?" And it was like, as the years had gone on of me and Justin together, the things that used to make me feel loved just stopped working. Justin couldn't just like plant a kiss on me and my anger would melt away. Love to me had transitioned or transformed from like moonlit walks and making love until dawn to being able to sit on the couch and watch The Office without being asked, "What are you thinking for dinner?" My love language had definitely changed, but Justin's hadn't. I had grown into this fully functional, asterisk at the end of that one, fully functional adult. Over the course of our relationship, I was working full-time. I was momming full-time. I was taking care of the house. I was making budgets. I was side hustling, servicing the things in my life as means of showing my love. And Justin was growing in his own ways too, adjusting to becoming a father and a husband, but his growth was done at his own pace. And I, being the control freak that I wanted nothing more than for him to change faster. So what would I do? I would yell. I would scream, I would nag, and he would react to my anger by trying to hug me, which just made me madder. I wanted us to see us, as equals again. I wanted Justin to love me the ways I wanted to be loved. So I nagged him for not making enough money as I did. I guilted him for putting the burden of taking care of our family on me. I yelled and I screamed and I demanded happiness, without giving him any ideas as to what would actually make me happy. Because truthfully, I didn't know. And ultimately, all of this embarrassing behavior, and this is so embarrassing to admit, ladies, ultimately I gave him an ultimatum. Never give ultimatums. Despite the fact that we both decided he wouldn't work so that we could save money on daycare, I gave him an ultimatum. But I gave him an ultimatum to get a job and help me out around the house more, or I'd leave him. And I remember writing it in my date planner, January 1st, get a divorce, circled it. That was how certain I had been. That's really hard to admit. All of this, in hindsight, I realize now, is completely unfair. Something I really wouldn't learn until the start of this coronavirus pandemic, when for the first time in years, I was home more than just weekends, and I watched as my husband constantly cleans behind the tornado of LOL surprise dolls and Ritz cracker crumbs that is my children all day, every day. All of those things I yelled and nagged and guilted about were my perceptions of what was happening, and Justin had very different ones. It should come as absolutely no surprise to you that my nagging never changed my husband. that the ultimatum I gave him never came to anything. And do you know what else? My yelling never made him recognize my needs faster. I could never mold Justin like a ball of clay to be the man and the husband I wanted him to be. But of all of this, I learned that I could control my response to him moving at his own pace. You see, I accepted that Justin and I did not have the same tools for love in our proverbial toolboxes. His very best effort at loving me was not always the thing that I needed. It didn't mean that he wasn't trying enough. It didn't, or that he didn't love me enough. It didn't mean that, he was incapable of loving me. It just meant that that was all he was capable of doing at this time. When we got married, we didn't commit to be who we were on our wedding day for the rest of our lives. We just dug in roots into the ground and wrapped them around each other as our trees individually continued to grow. Justin and I may have been growing and changing at different paces, but that didn't mean he wasn't growing more to be what I needed every day. All I could really do was express my needs and decide if I was willing to accept that he wouldn't get it right 10%, 50%, or even 100% of the time. So, ultimatum off the table. He and I evaluated our love languages. We realized we were speaking different ones. Mine is acts of service first, physical touch last, and Justin's are the exact opposite, which means we both have to wake up every single day and choose to love each other. It is a choice that we have to consciously make every day. And there are days that we don't make that choice. There are days where he still doesn't listen, days where I have to yell, wedge salad, days I get so mad at finding yet another sock in my couch, I swear to God I'll shove it down his throat. And there are days he just wants to hold me and I push him away. Days that he plans surprises and I am 1,000% not into it. But that doesn't make our relationship or the things that we're learning or our growth any less meaningful. Relationships, especially long-term relationships, marriage, they are not songs and rainbows. They are not long kisses and romantic gestures and the honeymoon phase all day, every day. They are not love notes on a foggy mirror or, having sex until dawn. There are moments of those, yes, like sprinkled like confetti over the years, but there are also moments of dishes left in the sink for 48 hours to soak, of having sex quick and like fast while your kids bang on your bedroom door crying, okay, of sitting in absolute silence so you can hear every word of an episode of Game of Thrones that also has subtitles on it. For all the young, badass ladies listening, and I hope there are many, you are the future. The thing I want you to learn from my marriage and really all relationships is that you will never stop changing. Your definition of love will change. You'll go from wanting somebody to meet you at midnight in the middle of a street and tell you you're beautiful, to just wanting somebody to do the goddamn dishes when you ask him to, instead of leaving them for 4 days in the sink to soak. Regardless of how fast or slow your definition of love will change over time, you cannot change the people you love. You can inspire and nag and incentivize and punish, but you can never change the mind of another. That person has to be willing and capable of changing their own mind. They have to feel a desire to take that change on and go for it. But all of that may mean that change won't happen when you want it to. I have a lot of friends that I tell this story of my marriage to, and some ask me the question of, Ally, why didn't you just leave? If your needs were not being met, why didn't you just leave? And the short answer of that is that I love my husband. And and I love myself too. So what I want of anything you to take away from this conversation, very candid, I hope, of me and my husband and our marriage together, is the difference between loving others and loving yourself. Okay, loving others means giving patience and acceptance and grace and forgiveness. I might cry. Even when you really don't want to give them. Okay. Loving others is second chances and third chances. Okay. But loving yourself means communicating your needs and setting limits and boundaries for how long you'll wait for them to be met. As frustrated as I get with Justin, he remains the one person on this earth who can truly make me belly laugh. He is an excellent partner and co-parent, and we've reached a point in our marriage where we are equals. And that had to involve us throwing the scale out altogether and not keeping score against each other. I have chosen, again, I want to make that very clear. It's a choice that I make every single day to love him and to love myself. And I have chosen to love him all of these years because the flash, the PDA, the making love until midnight doesn't sustain a relationship. Knowing that I'm walking hand in hand with someone who will love me regardless of how much I fuck up for the rest of my life does. There are days it is not easy. Days where I need to communicate my needs far more than others. But I have never once regretted choosing him every day, no matter how intense the burdens of life and love or the burdens of dirty dishes have been. We'll be right back in just a few minutes where we'll have an open conversation with my husband about all of this trash I just laid out. Stay with us. Continuing our conversation about marriage, I have a real treat for you. A great interview planned with my husband, Justin. Justin, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody.
I'd like to start every interview with an icebreaker question. So what's your go-to karaoke song?
I've never done karaoke.
If you had to do karaoke right this second, what song would you sing?
Don't Stop Believing.
That's the worst one.
The only thing I can think of.
It's too long. Okay, Justin, you and I have been together for what, like a million years?
20
million years. And earlier on in this episode, I spoke about the challenges that we faced in our marriage. I've just specifically about how we needed to learn to choose to love each other every day. And I laid out and listed all of your flaws.
Great.
Laundry list of things, just an endless stream of what I can't stand about you. And I just want us to have an open and honest conversation, but I got to be real with you. You right now are staring at the ghost of your wife because I regret to inform you that I am deceased. Because when I sent you the questions from this interview to review, I accidentally sent them to my boss.
Your work husband?
My actual boss. Not my work husband, my actual boss. And when I realized what had happened, my soul left my body. And I was on the ceiling and I looked down upon myself and I saw that I had passed away. Oh. So now, God, you're just going to have to carry on this life without me. Make sure the kids know who I am, and or at the end of all of this, we're going to live out my fantasy of having a Casper-like kiss where you dance with my ghostly form at the Halloween party at my creepy manor that I own. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, that's a
plan. And you're going to sing Don't Stop Believing. Okay. So my first question to you is, what do you hate about me?
Nothing.
What's my most annoying trait?
Off the top of my head, when you got something in your throat and you do that. I mean, I do it too, but
you also pick your toes.
And then you get a tissue and put it in your mouth and wipe out your phlegm.
You make it sound like I'm wiping the inside of my mouth with a tissue. Oh. That's not true.
That's the only thing I could think of.
That's not true. Well, okay, phlegm aside, do you hate being married to me? Do you love being married to me?
I love being married to you.
You love? What's your favorite thing about being married to me? The sex?
No.
Dad ass?
No, you make me laugh.
I do?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Most of the time.
Most of the time?
You don't laugh at me.
I do. You always make me laugh. You're like the only person I feel like on earth that can make me belly laugh.
That's
Ladies
true.
and gentlemen, you can't see it, but he's grinning like he's on camera.
Where's the camera?
He's looking
Smoke
for it.
detector, right?
This is our house. There shouldn't be anything hidden here. And we've had a great marriage, right? We've had, like when you were younger and you were a little boy, wee little Justin, and you looked at a marriage in your life, like what did you think it would look like? Did you think it would look like this?
No. I figured it'd be like I Love Lucy, Just,
separate beds.
yeah. Come home from work and you're there with my scotch and
threatened domestic abuse. Yeah, I always thought like I would marry someone richer.
yeah. Same here.
Yeah, no, you married me for my money, I married you for your money, and we were both disappointed. But we had a pretty great wedding day. I mean, I still hear from family and friends that like our wedding day was like the most fun they've ever gone to.
I mean, biased, but I think it's the best wedding we've gone to.
Do you remember when that nun punched a kid?
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we got married at Magic Kingdom. Well, not at Magic Kingdom, at the Grand Floridian. We had a Disney wedding. So Mickey and Minnie were at our wedding. And my mom worked for Catholic Health, so we had some really wonderful nuns at our wedding, who also walked in the labor and delivery room when we were having Maisie. Gave us a blanket. But at the wedding, when Mickey and Minnie came out, this one nun, Sister Agnes Ann, like beelined, clothesline children to get up front and meet with.
There's a lot of adults pushing their way.
She had the Lord on her side. No one wasn't going to fight with her. What was your favorite part about our wedding day?
I did like having Mickey and Minnie.
Yeah.
That was cool. I mean, really just the whole dance party we had. I think it was a lot more fun than most of the weddings we've gone to.
Yeah, we did the entire parade route to Move It, Shake It, Celebrate It.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Did you like dancing with Minnie? Or were you cool with it because you knew that it was probably like a small Asian girl? I had problems because I knew Mickey was just a small Asian girl.
Yeah, I had that in the back of my head, They were definitely into it,
What does that say?
I don't know. We all had good time. It's all fun.
It was a good time, yeah. So thinking about our marriage and the last 9 years that we've been together, can you believe that?
Jeez.
9 years.
No.
We've been together.
Is it?
9 years. Married for 7.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Parents for 8. Don't do that math, folks. It won't add up. What's the your favorite thing that I do for you in our marriage? Don't you say? You're gonna say. Keep it PG-13.
I was gonna say you make me laugh, but I already said that.
All right. Well,
I don't know.
I cook for you.
Keep me on my toes.
What does that mean?
I don't know. You push me to do more things.
Yeah.
Don't look at
like
me.
What? You're still looking for a camera. There's no camera. Okay, well, now, one of the things that I talked about in this episode was how, you and I went through a little bit of like a rough patch, where we had to really relearn our love languages and how we can speak them to each other and how we choose every day to like do something to make the other person know that they feel loved. So what do I do that makes you feel loved?
Maybe you work really hard for the family to support us. And that shows me you love me.
Mm-hmm.
You care. You let me buy nonsense stuff.
You need to explain to the people what your latest nonsense spending habit is, please.
Shirts by Roosevelts.com.
So many. Our children won't go to college, but Justin's going to look fly as...
They have a high resale value.
For now.
If I ever sell them.
Oh, and how do you show me that you love me?
I buy these really cool shirts.
You have, honestly, your
look
investment in your fashion has made me feel like I have to step my pussy up to, like, look nice. Because, like, Justin started buying all these nice shirts and wearing, like, basically wearing normal clothes, but, like, looking dressed up. All these days in quarantine. And I would be just back here like a woman who rides the rails, you know? A hobo woman.
Maybe if I look nice, maybe I'll feel better about myself and I won't get into a depression state.
Okay, you just went really dark.
I'm just saying, like, we're not going anywhere. We're not doing much, you know?
We're doing this.
You know, yeah.
We're doing this.
Taking showers every day.
Together. Not together.
No.
Sometimes together. What do you feel like, okay, if we had a week alone together, non-quarantine edition, the world opened back up, what would we do? I know what I would say.
Go to a bar.
Go to a bar. Just get hammered drunk.
I don't know. Go to the parks. There's a lot of stuff to do we haven't done. Go to a restaurant.
What's your perfect ideal week? Like if we could be anywhere together. Yeah, a whole week together, anywhere. Where would we be? What would we do?
Go on a cruise.
Yeah. Rainforest room.
Yeah. Rainforest cafe.
No.
That's different.
Maybe. Get you those dinosaur chicken nuggets.
Oh, I want to go cruise though.
Oh man, me too. Too bad about that COVID, right?
Without the kids.
Without our kids.
No offense.
Do you feel like after all the, challenges and communication problems we had in our marriage that your needs are being met finally?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I know one of the things that I briefly mentioned earlier in this episode, but you and I had a really good conversation about a few weeks ago, was how, when our roles reversed in our marriage and I went from being the work at home parent to being the all work parent and you became the work at home parent or at home parent, that I always had this perception that you weren't doing anything around the house. But it really took COVID and seeing all the ways that you just run around like a tornado around this house and try to do your best to keep our kids in line and they're just crazy animal maniacs to really understand and appreciate all the work that you do for this family. And today you went and got your beans chopped. Your beans snipped and clipped.
Yeah.
That's a good thing for our family.
Yeah. That was...
I really feel like my needs are met.
Okay.
You satisfy me.
Don't say that.
I have to say sexually. You satisfy my downstairs. You satisfy my upstairs, which is my brain.
Okay.
You make me laugh.
Yeah.
You make me cry. But then you are still the only person on earth who I want to talk to about a shitty day that I've had.
That's good.
Even if you are the cause of that shitty day.
Yeah. I like hearing you vent. I think it's good for you.
Yeah, it is. Gotta stay away from that depression.
Yeah.
So, Justin, I like to end all of my interviews with some, rapid fire questions.
Jesus. Okay.
Okay, so you gotta answer them as quickly as you can, as honestly as you can, okay? And away we go. Who was your celebrity crush as a teen?
Jessica Alba.
Who was your real celebrity crush as a teen?
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Mine was adult Simba.
What?
I don't know. When he tousled his hair, just awoke something in me.
I had a friend. Okay, I had
a friend. He's winking.
Well, because when you guys were little, you guys had all these teen magazines with just pictures of celebrities. Mm-hmm. So you cut them out and I don't know what you guys
masturbate to them. Yeah.
So I had a friend that I told her, if you've had any pictures of Jennifer Love Hewitt or Alicia Silverstein,
gross,
cut them out, and she would give them to me.
What'd you do with them?
I think I just kept them in a drawer.
Once upon a time, dear listeners, Justin's mom sent us a package of stuff that she decided she didn't want in her house anymore, and in there was just a binder full of Jessica Alba pictures. Yeah. And the pages were laminated. So that was a spank book.
No, I did not.
Okay.
She's special.
Okay, worst show your kids watch. What's the worst show our kids watch?
What?
What is the worst show our kids watch?
Worst show. Probably that. Bubble Guppies.
Oh, yeah, Bubble Guppies.
Pretty bad.
What is up with that one, autistic Bubble Guppy that always gets the shitty food. Like, is somebody bullying him?
Oh, no, right? He's always got to have some stupid joke about his food.
Macaroni and beach balls? Okay, kill, screw, marry, a.k.a. fuck, marry, kill.
Oh, God.
Miss Piggy.
What?
The flying dog from Neverending Story. Or Tweety Bird. Fuck, marry, kill.
What's the second one?
The flying dog from Neverending Story.
I guess I'll kill that.
You kill them. How dare you?
I guess I'll fuck Miss Piggy and marry Tweety Bird.
You're deranged.
I don't know.
When was the last time you peed in a pool?
I can't pee in a pool.
You are a very shy peer, aren't you?
I can't. I think I'll end up pooping my pants if I try.
What?
Try to push too hard.
That's not right. We gotta take you to a doctor. Name 3 characters from Twilight. Just do it. 3 characters from Twilight.
Edward.
Just do it. 2 more.
Sebastian.
No. Try again.
Yeah. Ellie.
No.
Oh, what's her name? Susan. No. Oh man.
Start with the B.
Billy.
Actually, there is a Billy. We'll give that one to you. There's one more. One more.
Doctor
Strange.
Oh my God! What's the other one? There's Team Edwards. Team.
Somewhere in a
Brad.
Camry, someone is listening to this and screaming the answers to you. A Brad? There's no Brad. The werewolf. What's the werewolf's name?
Yeah. I don't know.
You knew Edward though.
Yeah.
Which is you got that one right
really
off.
Team Edward all the way.
Oh, where was the worst place you ever had to fart?
An elevator.
Did you let it go?
I did.
Oh my God. Were other people in there with you?
No. But people got on.
They knew. They probably thought you had to poop your pants. Do you ever pretend your wiener is a fire hose when you go potty?
No, but I pretend it's a power washer if the toilet's dirty or try to clean it. Sometimes it works.
Have you ever called a teacher mom?
I don't think so.
Were you ever hot for teacher?
I had
Dreams?
I had at least one I could think of that was attractive. I was kindergarten though, so.
If dogs wear pants, where the pants go on all 4 legs or just the back 2?
Just the back 2.
I disagree.
What? That is ridiculous. Have you seen pictures of it?
But their mouth is like their hands.
Have you seen picture of it though? It's the most ridiculous looking thing. I just saw somebody on Facebook about that, but it was a cat.
Okay, agree to disagree.
You have to look
Agree
at
to
pictures.
disagree. Have you purchased any more Roosevelt shirt after I asked you not to?
Yes.
God damn it, Justin.
But you've also asked me several times to stop.
So it's
But it's nothing after the turtles.
nothing after the turtles.
Well,
Oh God. Well.
I got a mask, but that doesn't really count.
Okay, you open up a Chopped basket. You know, Chopped the TV
Oh, yeah.
show. To find ramen noodles,
Okay.
a used 8-track of Seal's Kiss from a Rose,
I don't think
and
that would be
pure
an 8-track.
uncut heroin. Okay?
Okay, great.
Will you overcook the pasta?
Probably.
Yes, you will.
I'll be on cocaine.
And Ted Allen is going to have your fucking ass. What's your favorite Britney Spears song?
Oh man, I can't think.
There
of a
are
lot.
wrong answers.
Yeah, I can't think of a lot.
Sing it.
All I can think of is oops, I did it again. That's the only that comes to mind right now. What's the one with the snake? Oh, that one's terrible though. It's like, I'm a slave for you. Yeah, that one's a bad one.
There's the one, I like the one where she said, if you seek Amy, but if you listen to it, she's saying, if you seek Amy.
Oh.
I used to love that. What would your drag name be?
Okay. I don't know. Can't steal like that other one. Free to move out the cabin. Because that one's classic now. I don't know. Chiquana Dance.
Chiquana Dance. On that note, me and Chiquana Dance are going to get some peace for his peace. Justin, thank you so much for being on the CampaignHer Podcast. You're an absolute delight.
Great.
You're so uncomfortable. He's sweating profusely.
Not sweating.
Anything that you want to leave the people with today?
Stay classy.
We'll be right back. Guys, thank you so much for listening today. We laughed, we cried. I am just so excited that I get to share these stories with you, and that you really like me. You really like me. If you're still on the fence about me, here's your checklist for the end of the episode. 1, review and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Let me know how much you liked the episode. If you are thirsty or hungry for more crazy, insane stories from my Campaign Her lifestyle, don't forget to visit our blog at CampaignHer.com. If you need advice or you're ready to share your own hard, hilarious stories, you can submit them in an email to hello@CampaignHer.com to be read anonymously on future episodes, or just get an I hear you back from me. You can support the podcast with sticker purchases available on Etsy. And now, when you purchase 2 or more stickers, we will give you one just for free. Use the coupon code podcast at checkout on Etsy. If you want to see pictures from this episode, you can follow us at ally on Instagram, or if you just want more from my own insane, obscure life, you can follow me at Ally Pippin, also on Instagram. New episodes of the Campaign Her podcast drop every Thursday. Until then, you're doing great, sweetie. Bye.